What are your thoughts about this famous saying, not everyone is made for college?
I got a few thoughts about that. I think a lot of that is economic, because I don't know that people that qualify for full scholarships to college ever say that. I think it's really an issue of, well, I don't think financially I can afford to pay for college. So I think a lot of people say it as a result of that, or people feel that academically they won't be able to perform on a college level, right? I do want to caution people though, because when people say like, well, college ain't for everybody, or I'm gonna go to a trade school or vocational school or something like that, it's almost like they have this like kind of attitude that, well, those schools are gonna be easier.
Yeah, running the problem the same way.
And
I'm not difficult.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna have to really do work. I'm not gonna have to really think. I'm not gonna have to be responsible and submit assignments. It's like, bro, like you still gonna have to like, do work.
Don't they have a higher dropout rate than traditional four-year colleges?
I don't know the data on that.
I swore I read that, man.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. So I think, college, and I think another thing about college too is when we look at these examples that, people try to use to substantiate the claim that, college is useless or college is a scam. I think that we have to, I mean, in terms of it being a scam, we could talk about the endowments that a lot of colleges have, the huge multi-million dollar, some billion-dollar endowments that colleges have, and then they're still charging certain amounts for tuition and fees and room and board and whatnot. I think that part is questionable. But I think we got to look more specifically at what people are studying, like what majors people are choosing.
Yeah.
And this is where the math comes into play, because we know of a lot of people. I went to school with people. I've had students that have probably done the same thing in the past 20 years when they went to college. They choose a major based on the proximity to math courses, meaning they're like, yo, like I was never that good at math. I don't like math. So what? I don't really know what I want to do, but I know I need a major. What major course of study will require me to take the fewest math classes possible? And that's how a lot of people choose their major. And it's really sad and unfortunate. And, it's also sad and unfortunate that the colleges don't oftentimes have the appropriate resources to help people like, get past those math
more
deficiencies.
Remedial classes.
Yeah, well, the remedial classes are there, but a lot of times even those are not taught by people that really know how to teach math. It's a professor that kind of like gets stuck with the class and then I think a lot of times with the professors, a lot of them are like, I don't know if they have like the ability to really address those like learning gaps that those students have. And there's a lot of like, I guess, condescension and like disgust on the part of the professor, because they're like, yo, like this is college. Like, why am I teaching people how to like, multiply 2-digit by 3-digit numbers? Like, what's going on here, right? But that's a real thing. Like
I experienced that personally. I'm not gonna say the man's name, but I remember his name clearly my freshman year. He gave me back a paper. It was all red. And the man asked me how I got into the school. Straight, And he told me just drop his class because I'm not going to pass.
In the remedial math class?
No, this was English.
On English, okay.
Whatever, understanding lit. First
okay.
one, yeah. So, he told me straight up. Man asked me how I got into school.
Yeah. That could be damaging, man.
So I understand the disgust still. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wasn't that far behind. I want to keep it there. You know what I'm saying? I probably wasn't the level this man wanted, but I wasn't that far behind. Obviously, it was a racial undertone, and I hooped. He probably had an issue with that. Nonetheless, I ended up taking it with another teacher. I did very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. He told me that, man. So it's just like, all right, that's cool. But I experienced that in regards to that academic disgust. And what I noticed in high school somewhat, but with college is that they're not teachers.
Right.
Like you may be well versed in that subject matter, but you don't understand the art of teaching.
Yeah.
So I think that's the disconnect with college professors.
Yeah, and I think so. I guess to that question, college not, or that comment, or that belief and idea that college not being for everybody. I think that if you're not an autodidactic, or you don't know how to really, navigate that space and like kind of like go get the knowledge and, be responsible and submit assignments and kind of know your learning style. I think that's key too. Like you gotta know yourself well enough to know what your learning style is. So okay, what do I need to do when it's time to go to this lecture? Do I need to take notes? Should I bring a voice recorder? How should I take notes? All that kind of stuff, all those details.
I actually, man, because I feel college isn't for most people after teaching because they don't have the skill set to get through college. Just based on what you just said, you have to have you have to be self-learned for those who didn't understand the term you use. Also, you have to have a certain grind, and a certain resilience. Like, do you have the courage to study a topic you know nothing about?
So that's true. I would agree with that.
And the high schools, unfortunately, I'm not saying all, but the high school I was at, it's like they train the kids to just fail, bro. It's like they just want to keep them sedated until they graduate, and they don't learn any self accountability. Like this passing thing, we have this passing crisis that's going on right now. Passing kids, you get what I'm saying, and you passing them into destruction because the child is not learning, and the child's not held accountable for what they need to do to successfully meet the requirement of this class. So you've been passed in high school, right? Even if you're behind, when you go to college now, you're expecting the same thing.
And you're just gonna fail.
All right.
When you get to college, you're just gonna
you
fail.
Know what I'm saying? So like, that's the little vibe right there, But it's funny you brought this. I experienced that firsthand, bro. Dude talking reckless to me, man. Told me straight up, like, how did I get into school? I was like, damn, that's kind of tough. All right, cool.
And there's not a lot of accountability. Like, because I teach at Cheney, and I don't talk crazy to my students, even though sometimes I want to, but I don't. But I've heard stories about other professors, talking to them in certain ways, and
it could be crushing. You get what I'm saying? Because remember, I got a background in hoops, so I've been dealing with coaches, so I know how to process that and take it. But for another person that doesn't have the skill, that could be demoralizing.
Yeah, because you need that. Like a lot of times, you want that validation. Because in K through 12, you might have got validation from your teachers, but then you get to college and you like kind of expect it. It's like a lot of times college is like sink or swim. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be prepared. Yeah, you got to be prepared to be on your own. So, yeah, I guess it's like what I was saying is that it's about the preparation. But I think some people do just want to go to college just to say that they're going to college, or they think, but. And again, you got to be prepared for that, and a lot of people really aren't prepared. We're not doing a good enough job, like preparing enough of our children. But it's like to my point, like I don't know of a lot of people with that qualify for full scholarships, or are very academically prepared that are saying college is not for them. But other people may say that. But even with that, I think some people sometimes it's a maturity thing, because maybe at 18 years old. Maybe you're not really ready for that level of independent, academic activity or independent education, but maybe at 22, you might be ready for it, or, 23, like even myself, like I dropped out of college for 2 years, and I think part of that was, when I went back, I was like, cause I dropped out, I was working and, I'm just making money, getting a paycheck, like, and I'm like, this can't be my life though. Like, what I'm saying? And I had like 3 semesters left. So I'm like, I had an incentive to like, let me just go finish. Because, let me get this degree so I can like leverage this degree and like make other moves and do certain stuff. But without the degree, I wasn't confident that I'd be able to like, make certain moves.
And I want to touch on, there is all right. So I've had this conversation with numerous people too. A lot of people need to go to college. Reason being is that I think people watching too much social media and everybody think they're like some entrepreneur or something and they can get all these things done without it, not understanding like you don't have it, fire. Right. This thing is real. You get what I'm saying? You just don't have it in you. So I do recommend that people go to college at least to have that paper as a crutch, where worst come to worst, you can qualify for a 9 to 5.
Right.
But some people now with all this stuff on social media now, they believe now that they don't need, and there are a lot of skills you can learn in college too. Definitely. By the way, right? They don't need college. They're just going to go out here and do all these things, and they're going to find themselves in problems because not only do they don't have the skill set or the work ethic to survive on their own, they don't have that paper to kind of get their foot in the door.
And entrepreneurship is not easy. Like you mentioned, social media. Like a lot of times these entrepreneurs, like they're not telling the whole story.
But their business model is selling a package to you.
Yeah,
I don't know much people that's really like kind of getting it. They just getting it. They're not really selling like a pack. You're in a service. You do math. That's different. Yeah. But you're not selling a plan guaranteeing people that you're going to make money.
Right.
That is their business model.
I mean, it's even. I mean, and it's a challenge. Even just, it's. I think most of the time it's easy to get up and go to work when you know they're going to be negative consequences if you don't go and if you don't get there on time. Meaning you might get fired, which means you're not getting your paycheck, right? As an entrepreneur, it's like you are your boss. You got to hold yourself accountable. So if you don't have that level of discipline, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, man, I know I need to get up at 7 a.m. this morning because I got these things I got to do, but I might hit the snooze button and be like, and then like stay asleep, you know, and then not do what I need to do. But as an entrepreneur, it's not nobody. It's no white man that's gonna come and like, you know, fire me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, you know, we should need that. I think we shouldn't need that, but we have to get to the point where we're mature and disciplined and responsible enough to be our own, you know, supervisor.
Most people, I would say in my life experience, most people need to be told what to do, and they need an outside source to hold them accountable. You get what I'm saying? Like, the only reason people go to their job is for basic survival. But when you look at their personal life, there's no consistency or accountability. So with that said, I think most people should just go to work and give thanks for that. And you're not corny for working somewhere or anything.
Right.
That's the thing they're putting out here now too. It's like you're like a loser for working with someone. That's not the case. It's just everything not for everybody.
Yeah. And you're gaining skills. You know? You're gaining skills. Like, I know a lot of, I mean, me, when I became an entrepreneur, I can honestly say that every skill that I gained from every job I ever had, whether it was my first job when I was 15 years old and I worked at the library stacking books, sorting and shelving books, using the Dewey Decimal System, like, you know, and all the internships I did in college, and, you know, all the little jobs. I mean, I worked at Little Caesars Pizza, like back in the day when they used to sell the single slices, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, I was trying to get, you know, money for my prom tuxedo and whatnot. I use everything. You know?
Especially teaching. I don't know. I think teaching breaks a lot of people. They don't understand the skill set they have. Yeah. But like, I think teachers can be the greatest entrepreneurs because you if you're a good teacher, you're using so much skill sets every day. That are applicable. Don't even realize they don't realize it, bro.
Yeah.
And I tell them, but they don't want to listen. But it's just like, I think teachers would be the greatest entrepreneurs because it's like, to be a good teacher and make sure everything is running solid, it's a lot of things you have to do.
A lot of things
that can transfer over to you being a great entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I mean, it's made evident when we get our evaluations. Like, a lot of school districts are using the like that Charlotte Danielson model with the 4 domains. You know, so it's like you're doing things in those 4 domains, like planning and preparation. You got to do that. Instructional delivery, professionalism, classroom management. Like, there's so much going on at the same time.
You're dealing with 30 personalities every 45 minutes, bro.
Exactly.
And just because it's the same kids, it's a different personality every day because you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And you have to manage all that.
And imagine you teaching, like, you know, one year I taught, I wouldn't recommend this to nobody, but I taught like 5 different classes, maybe 4 different classes. I taught 2 sections of calculus, 1 section of pre-calculus. I taught an entrepreneurship class through the NEFTY program, and I taught 2 sections of my Black Philly class. It was African Americans in Philadelphia, but the students renamed it Black Philly. So, and then that too, like, so you switching, you know. It's one thing if, like, you know, I've had other years where I taught Algebra 2 all day, you know, and then I would notice, like, yeah, my first class, you know, that lesson wasn't as good.
By the end of the day, they're going sharp.
But not even the end of the day, like the class right before the last class, because that's when I hit the, like, climax. It's like, this the best, but like by the last period, it's like I fall off a little bit because I hit the high note.
First period, the weakest.
Yeah, first period is the weakest, and I always feel bad, like damn, like, I wish I could have. Y'all should have seen my 4th period show.
And sometimes you think the lesson hit, but when you put it on them, it's like, man, I got to tweak everything. Change it around. Yeah, you're right, bro.
So the other, sort of like that next to last period class, they get the benefits of, you know what I'm saying, like, all the mistakes.
That self, how do you say that?
Self-reflection?
Yeah, self-reflection. That value. A good teacher. The next person is going to go through the day.
Being a reflective practitioner.
You know, being truthful with yourself. And also, I experienced 2 different classes, but I basically taught 7th, 8th. I taught all the classes. 7th to seniors, right?
Yeah.
And what do they call it? What's the social emotional learning class right now? SEL.
Yeah.
It was SE on financial literacy.
Okay.
But I had to tweak it for the classes, for the ages. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way I presented financial literacy to ninth graders, I couldn't do the same thing with the seniors.
Right.
So just having that ability to tweak the level and how you execute the message, it's a great skill to have. Just dealing with people, yeah. You know, so I was saying all that to say is like teachers have the greatest transferable skills I see, and like taxi drivers and bartenders, because you have to deal with so many different people and different temperaments.
And it's like sales. Like as a teacher,
The
teacher is sales. Like because you trying to.
Once they buy in, you good.
Yeah.
That's why people struggle with classroom management. They never bought in.
Yeah.
You know,
Because once I'm trying, and especially like with math, it's like so many students are programmed to hate math, run from math, dislike math. And if I can figure out a way to get you to have an appreciation for math, it's like I've sold you on it.
one more skill we got to touch on, bro. With the managing of people, identifying who can help other students. Not just with the level, but socially. Like who, because you know some students don't rock with each other.
Yeah.
Even though that student knows picking the right groups to work together to help lower students.
That's management.
That's what I'm saying.
Delegating responsibility.